So trigger warning, I'm not showing any images, but I am going to talk about it in graphic detail. So if affect you, please click off the video. Go find something else to watch. YouTube is huge. Hope you have fun the rest of your day, night, anything. Please do not watch this video if this is going to affect you. Hey everyone, it's Ash. Today I'm going to be talking about my mom's haunted house. Now, as you can see, I like spooky things. However, I do not like being haunted. Now, this house is haunted in my experience, as well as some of my family members. Not everyone believes that it's haunted. Some people don't even believe in ghosts. However, in my experience, it is haunted. Now, by what, I'm not sure. But the house was built in the 1880s in a very, very small town. This town still to this day has under 20,000 people living in it. So it is very, very small. It is in upstate New York or wherever. It's underneath Buffalo, very far underneath Buffalo, but that place. I don't like being in this house. I never really did. It kind of makes me sick. That is a whole situation by itself. This house is very sentimental to my mom. Her parents grew up at, her parents bought the house and she grew up in the house, and then she bought it from her mom, which then we lived in it. However, I think, although it is sentimental, I think that maybe she should try to sell it. Now, this house has been having problems with it the entire time I've been living in it. Every year or so, I'm not sure how often, but there is black mold in the bathroom that she has to get actually professionally cleaned every year or so. She says it's because of the neighbors changing their landscaping. No, I'm not saying that's not true, but there's only so much you can do. I've heard footsteps upstairs while no one is home. It's not just me. Siblings have been home and we've heard it upstairs. You know, the whole like don't want to be downstairs and turn off the light and run upstairs. Well, it's the opposite. We don't want to run upstairs with the light off. At some point the light ended up glowing, and no matter how many times we changed the light bulb wouldn't stay lit. So that's fun. That's the hallway light at the top of the stairs. We would hear door slamming, the rolling marble inside the living room wall upstairs. You wouldn't hear it when you're upstairs, but in the living room you would hear it upstairs. The same wall of my childhood bedroom. The childhood bedroom is like fairly one of the hauntedest rooms, I guess you could say. I'm not really sure how to say it the right way, but I believe it's the most haunted place of that entire house. My mom even heard it. She used to sleep on the couch for a couple of years because it was the only place her back wouldn't hurt or something, I'm not really sure. She would sleep in the living room, and all night long she would hear a rolling marble upstairs. She chalked that up to a squirrel in the walls, rolling a nut back and forth for hours on end. I'm not really sure how that would happen, especially because studs are only 24 inches apart, so how could you be rolling it across the entire wall? I'm not really sure, but that's what she says. It's a squirrel. Take that for what you will. Things going missing constantly. You would hear of things going missing. I lost this, I lost that. Yes, you could say that it's parents possibly throwing things away, but as I said, my mom couldn't get up the stairs. My dad didn't live in the house. And yes, siblings can throw away things if they're angry at each other, but take that for what you will. The lights going out, as I said, at the top of the stairs. Other lights would be going out. Things would be blowing, TVs turning on and off by themselves. Typical horror movie stuff, but we're not in a horror movie. I live in reality. So that's nice. You can hear the wind chimes outside, which I am absolutely terrified of wind chimes. Actually, I find them kind of haunting, but it fits because we are talking about my mom's haunted house. So me and my family, mostly my siblings, brought up the fact that it was very easy for you to knock 3 times. It's very easy for the wind to do that. So we made a specific knock for us, but also the thing in the house has also decided to pick it up and also do it, which is knock, space, knock, knock. Specifically, not knock, 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 but it's very particular, knock, a space of like a second, and then knock, knock. It's because it was harder for things to be called off, saying, oh, it's that hitting in the wind, or it's a tree branch or something like that. Very particularly knock, space, knock, knock, because it was so hard for things to be called. It's just nature. Later on, I will be talking about the particular part of the house, and the last month or so that I was living in that house, my neighbor's tree fell onto that house, into the part where the ghost that I have seen would have been standing. So take that for what you will, but yeah, not only have I seen her, but my little brother, and also I found out that my mom's siblings also saw the same person in the same room, so that's nice. Growing up, I have a lot of medical issues, as you can see in my on my channel. I have grown up with a lot of medical issues. Because of these issues, I've been on medication. This particular medication, when I started when I was either 7 or 8, I know particularly the time, but I'm not sure if I was 7 or 8. I was on this medication, and it was causing me to hallucinate. In the beginning, I was seeing a black cat on the edge of my bed and an orange bird flying around the house. My room, technically. At the time, I didn't know I was hallucinating, but looking back, it's very clear that I was hallucinating. On the drive home, which is like an 18-hour drive, typically it'd be like 10, but because of my medical issues, I can't sit in the car for that long because I lose feeling in my legs and like other things. So I needed to take a break very often. So it would literally double the amount of time I had to be in the car. On the drive back, I would see Sonic the Hedgehog jumping over cars in the other side of like the highway. I would see Sonic the Hedgehog jumping over cars, and I at the time I had told my mom, but she thought it was just a wild imagination. But looking back, years later, thinking, oh yeah, like, no, that was definitely the medication. I was definitely hallucinating at that point. But as I got home, after a week or so being home, I'm not really sure because it was so long ago. The first one that I'm going to talk about is Weston. He was outside my childhood bedroom window. He was hanging by a noose. I did not ever see his face, but I know where I was sitting. I would sit in the middle of the room, and I'd be looking out the room for hours on end, because you can't, like, as an 8-year-old, you can't put into words as how horrific this is. But he was wearing, at the time, I didn't watch Supernatural, but all I can say is very, like, Supernatural-esque, with flannel and the canvas jacket and the blue jeans and the boots. Very Supernatural-esque, but at that point I wasn't watching Supernatural. I was actually terrified of basically everything as a kid. I was a very big scaredy cat. Now I like horror movie stuff and like spooky things. I don't like being haunted though. My family can attest that I was scared of basically everything. Still, I have a lot of anxiety. That's another story for another time. But I'm the only one who saw Weston hanging out the window. But the other one that I have seen, I have named her Kelly. She is standing in this corner. I'm going to be using the floor plan. She is standing in this corner She is very stereotypical horror movie, but at the time I didn't watch horror movies, so it wouldn't make any sense as to why I would have any imagery of the typical horror movie, as I wasn't watching horror movies at the time. She is white with wearing a whiter dress, long black hair, covered in blood. She is standing in the corner. After I stopped hallucinating is when the scratching in the walls and everything started. My sister at some point walked up into the bedroom and watching me watch Weston out the window, and Kelly on the side of the bunk bed. She would come upstairs and she would find me and she would be like, "What are you doing?" And I would just be like, "Oh, watching him out the window," or watching her stare at me for hours on end, because neither of them talked, neither of them really moved. They were just staring at me, which is very creepy. Seeing dead people stare at you for hours on end, or at least it felt like hours on end, is very creepy and still freaks me out to this day. Particularly in this corner is where it started. I'm not sure why, but the door slamming, people walking upstairs when no one's upstairs, rolling marble, all of this is particularly in this corner of the house. I'm not sure why. Later on, I moved to my high school bedroom, and I would hear constant scratching on the walls, connected, the wall closest to that bedroom, constant scratching. I would have friends over and they literally had to leave in the middle of the night because they hear scratching in the walls constantly. This is being a high schooler, and being 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and having your friends leave when they're almost an adult because of scratching in the walls. It's just something I've grown up with, so it didn't freak me out, but it would freak a lot of them out. Granted, that makes a lot of sense. If I went over to a friend's house and they were having that, I'd peace out as well. A couple of years later, my little brother, he started having the same problem. Now, he wasn't on any medication, but he ended up starting to see Kelly in the same corner. Now, I don't ever talk about Kelly, ever. I never talked about her ever. I don't like talking about her. She still scares me to this day. I don't want to see her. I don't want to talk about her. I just want to shut that part of me off. He brings up one day about how he's seeing this girl in his bedroom. And I was like, "Yeah, what does she look like?" And he says she's white, with a white dress on, with long brown black hair, covered in blood. And I said, "What is she doing?" And he says, "Just standing there." And I said, "Where is she standing?" And he says, "In the corner." And I said, "In the corner? In this particular corner?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, it dawned on me. As soon as, I said that, I was like, that wasn't a hallucination. That was, it was, but it also, it's impossible. I don't ever talk about this. How the heck would he know about her? Unless one of my siblings talk about it, but they don't talk about it either, because although we talk about, things happening in the house, we don't talk about Kelly and Weston. We don't talk about them because you don't want to talk about it. So, I basically, forbid them to talk. He, word for word, essentially, said, it's Kelly. Very clear. And we were at my uncle's house, and we were talking about how my mom's house is haunted, and he's like, "Yeah, did you see the girl up in the bedroom, in the middle room?" And I was like, "The girl in the middle room?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, and I specifically said, "Is she white, with a white dress on, with long brown hair, and she's covered in blood?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Where is she?" And he said, "Standing in the corner, just staring." And at that point, I was like, oh, it's like for real. Like, it's a generational thing. Like, it's clear that she clearly is attached to that house. He doesn't believe in ghosts and stuff. He said it himself, and we've had this conversation. He doesn't believe in ghosts and stuff, but we were talking about it, and I'm not sure if he was just like messing with me, but he somehow knew exactly where she was and exactly what she was wearing. So that doesn't make any sense if he doesn't believe in it, which is fine. You can believe what you want. To not believe it, but also have the exact same story without me telling you or anyone telling you, because we haven't talked to my uncle for like 7 years before this. Like, we just started talking to him just last year, so there would be no way of anyone bringing up how my mom's house is haunted. It would have been impossible. Not impossible, but it's like no one would have brought it up. It's weird. Like, we had just brought it up as a conversation because all of us were sitting around his kitchen table, and we've seen him maybe 4 or 5 times at that point, and no one like goes out of their way to talk to him. Not like rudely, but we don't like talk on a regular basis. A lot in upstairs in that house, my siblings, including myself, would punch the wall so much to the point where the wall ended up, it was like paneling. The wall ended up falling down by itself. Like, it was just disintegrated at that point. Like, the studs were fine, like, but it was just the chunk of like wood. We were very angry in that house. Like, everyone would be so angry all of the time. I thought I had anger issues growing up in that house because I was so angry all of the time. I used to smash my head against the wall, and punch the wall and throw things because I was so angry in that house. But since moving, I haven't had that much like problems. I mean, as you grow up, you know that you grow into being an adult and you don't have that many anger issues. You don't scream at the top of your lungs at people anymore. But it's a different emotional state going into that house, because I go back into the house and I still feel gross and like I still feel like covered in slime when I walk in that house. Not literally. I don't feel like I have slime all over me, but it feels gross. I feel like I'm walking through mud while living in that house. The second story I would like to tell is sitting in the living room. Me and my brother were skipping school. Now, me and my brother skipped school a lot. I skipped school. I probably went once, maybe twice a week to school, and that was it. I hated school. It made me feel really anxious. I wasn't, I was having a lot of like bullying issues with people in school, as well as, I was having a lot of medical issues, and I had a lot of anxiety issues as well. So I went once, maybe twice a week, and that was it. My brother went 4 to 5 times a week, maybe 3 to 4. I don't remember. We were sitting in the living room on the couch on this wall, watching a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. It was an action movie. It was not Fast and the Furious, but it was for sure Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. We were sitting there. I paused the movie to get up to go to the bathroom. My brother thinks it's a good idea to play a trick on me. He knocks on this wooden wall. It's a very gorgeous wall. Knock, space, knock, knock. I am going to the bathroom. I hear this, and I scream out into the bathroom, "Matthew, knock it off. Don't mess with it." And he, of course, knocks, space, knock, knock again, just to like mess with me. So I come out of the bathroom, tell him to knock it off, and I press play on the TV. We're watching, and 5 minutes later, not immediately, 5 minutes later, we hear from the basement, "Knock, space, knock, knock." We both look at each other, and he with it more, "Knock, space, knock, knock," because now that he knows it will answer him, he's going to knock on the wall. And 30 seconds later, "Knock, space, knock, knock." And of course, Matthew goes to knock on the wall, and it immediately knock, space, knock, knock. He goes to knock on the wall again. He does, and it doesn't answer. 30 seconds go by, a minute goes by, and he doesn't answer. So Matthew screams, "Do it again." And I said, "Matthew, stop knocking on the wall. I don't want to mess with it. I just want to watch the movie." And about a minute goes by, and then we give up completely. We're watching the movie, and then 30 seconds into pressing play on the movie, we hear from the basement, knock, space, knock, knock. I jump up and run out of the house. I am wearing pajama pants and a tank top, and it is 1.5 feet of snow, and I am barefoot, without a jacket, standing outside in the snow, without my phone. And Matthew follows me out in his pajama pants and a t-shirt, and he put on shoes, because they're right on the front porch. He goes in after about 30 seconds, and I'm like, "You messed with it. You have to go inside and get me shoes, a jacket, and my phone." So he goes in, he throws me my shoes, because I refuse to step foot. He also throws me my jacket, and I refuse to step foot into the house. And he goes in and tries to find my phone. He comes back, he's like, "I don't know where it is." And he goes back in after I tell him it's right there. And he goes in and finds it. He brings it out, and I call my mom. And she, of course, says, "Don't mess with it. You were watching a horror movie." We weren't. We were watching an action movie. And she says, "You guys were messing with it. This is why you shouldn't do that. You guys scared yourselves. Call your dad." I can't, because I'm at work. And we call my dad. He shows up after 30 minutes of waiting in the snow outside. He goes in, checks the basement. Nothing's there, obviously, because it's a basement. It's unfinished. There's 6 inches of water down there. There's no way there's anything down there. It's in the dead of winter, too. Like, it makes sense if there would be something under there, but there wasn't. If you would know there'd be blanket or food wrappers. He checked the entire house. Nothing was there, but clearly something was wanting to play. We would hear randomly while sitting and watching movies, we would hear footsteps on the stairs behind us. These stairs behind us would go up the stairs, but they're underneath those stairs is also stairs that would go down into the basement. This wall that was behind us never existed until my grandparents lived in the house. It was just like a banister, which kind of makes me sad to think that, like, that would have been gorgeous. I wish I had been able to see it without that wall there. Now that I'm thinking about it, that would have been so pretty. Anyway, I have plenty of stories from that house. I also have plenty of stories from not that house, but I also have, like, a lot of stories in particular of just me and myself. I might say those later on. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.